Right now, it's still a little early to determine exactly the timing of it, but the deal is that some of the data just keeps coming in drier and drier for the Metroplex. So we could certainly use the rain. One thing's for sure, that cold front, it's definitely coming through. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The only thing is the rain. Is it going to rain? How much is it going to rain? Where is it going to rain? It's going to rain somewhere with the cold front, but the Metroplex right now, the chances overall are pretty low. So don't get your hopes up with the rain, but temperature-wise, I think we're going to be doing pretty good. In the meantime, it's beautiful outside. We've got lots of sunshine. This is our WFAA Studios Dallas camera. Temperatures are in the upper 70s. The wind, it's light. It's coming in out of the east. We're at 78 degrees in Decatur, 77 in Denton, 79 in Greenville, 78 degrees in Canton, and then satellite and radar is completely quiet. There's nothing going on out there right now. We do have lots of sun. We may get a few high clouds passing on by later today, but we've got a ridge of high pressure over the southern plains, and that's keeping us cloud and rain free. You can see the rain over New Mexico. That continues to move off to the north and east and just not headed our way whatsoever. Now we're going to look at Saturday, and it looks like the data has actually started to update a little bit. Earlier when I showed you this, it had all of the rain at least to the north and east. That's not the case anymore. So the data continues to come in drier and drier. At noon, here's the cold front. It still looks like the cold front's going to come in sometime in the evening. That kind of is fluctuating as well, but this is going to be 6 o'clock, and it looks like we're still going to be rain free at that time. Now, once we get into Saturday evening, Saturday night, eventually it looked like there was a little bit of rain to the north and east, but it almost looks like it kind of dissipates before it even makes it into North Texas. So the rain chances are not good. But if we do get some storms to move into North Texas, there is going to be a very low threat that they become severe, and that would be in those far eastern counties across North Texas. So most of us won't see anything like that. How much rain are we expecting? Well, kind of depends on if we can actually get the rain in here whatsoever. But these amounts, they're going to change, but we're going to go with anywhere from 1/100th to 1/4 inch. But I'm betting that most of the rain is going to fall off to the east, so I think we're going to be closer to that 1/100th of an inch if we do get any rain at all at this point. Temperatures today topping out in the mid and upper 80s, so it's going to be plenty warm. And then overnight tonight, the normal lows in the upper 50s, but we're going to be in the upper 60s this time, at least in Dallas. 62 in Terrell, 62 in Greenville, 64 tomorrow morning in McKinney. So the next few days, we're staying in the 80s. On Saturday, it will be hot later in the afternoon. If you are planning to walk, good thing is that in the morning it won't be terribly hot, but the cold front's not going to come through until later in the evening. Once it does, we should go from 90 degrees on Saturday to the upper 70s on Sunday. So it's going to be very nice temperature-wise, rain-wise, can't say the same. Today, sunny and very warm. Temperatures make it back into the upper 80s this afternoon, and then overnight tonight, we're looking mostly clear. Pleasant temperatures overall. We are dropping down into the mid-60s. 14-day forecast showing we're staying in the 80s for the next few days, so no changes there. Saturday, for the most part, looks dry for most of us, but we're going to go ahead and at least keep that 20% coverage of rain and storms going. We'll see what the afternoon data says, so you'll see the latest later today with Jesse and Pete Delkus. And then on Sunday, after the cold front, temperatures drop into the upper 70s. Monday, we've got a breezy south wind, so that's going to help to push temperatures back the mid 80s. We have another cold front coming in on Tuesday that drops us back to the low 80s. We stay in the low 80s, it looks like on the 22nd. But the second half of that 14-day, we see a lot more 70s. We even have low 70s for highs and some overnight lows dropping into the 50s. So eventually, things do get better.
We are experiencing another fantastic and sunny day here across Houston. It's going to be pleasantly warm, especially as we head into those afternoon hours. And then the humidity, unfortunately, returning back for Thursday and Friday. We're going to see some rain chances with this, as we're also going to be tracking another cold front that's going to be sweeping through Texas, eventually bringing back some drier conditions. But also, unfortunately, too many unfortunately's there, we're going to remain warm, especially as we head into the start of next week. So looking at right now, very perfect day, especially across Houston. Galveston 81, Tomball 83, Pearland 83. Perfect conditions to have lunch outdoors. However, if you are heading out this evening, we're going to see those temps once again cool down into the low 70s by 9 p.m. Sunset will officially be at 6:51 this afternoon. In Houston, we are expecting those conditions to continue to cool down, especially as we go into 11 p.m. Dew points are also dry and comfortable. We're still looking at these dry conditions, really just keeping the muggy and the humidity out of the picture as we head into the next couple of days. But also today, we're going to also have to pay attention to that fire weather concern, especially for much of southeast Texas, where you see those tan white colors. That's a 3 out of 5, and that's considered high. at least according to the Texas A&M Forest Service. We have more of an elevated risk, especially out in Cleveland, the Piney Woods area. So be extra cautious if you are doing burning outdoors. We haven't received a significant rainfall in the past couple of months. And so that really is playing a role at the risk of that fire danger, especially when it comes to vegetation. Also keep in mind that most of our counties here in Southeast Texas are slowly starting to fill in when it comes to those burn bans. They are in the works to adding Harris County to that burn ban list. Of course, they're going to meet in a couple of days that will officially add Harris County, especially by this weekend. Fort Bend, Wharton, Colorado, Austin, Washington counties under burn ban. Walker, Montgomery, include the Woodlands, Conroe, Spring, San Jacinto, Polk, Liberty, and Chambers County are also under that burn ban risk. So as we head into the next 2 to 3 days, we will see the return of those muggy conditions. This is going to eliminate that fire weather risk, especially as we head into Friday and Saturday. However, as we look at the overall outlook, we're also going to be tracking some rain chances with this as we head into the weekend. Right now, high pressure systems in place, keeping things bone dry and sunny across much of the south, but that will start fizzling out and moving off towards the east. And then we're going to be tracking this low pressure system with an associated cold front that's going to arrive likely by Saturday evening into Sunday. That will bring the potential for some isolated downpours, as well as a surge of some dry air as we head into the start of next week. So future tracks showing clear conditions for today, mostly clear for Thursday, but it's Friday morning that we could see some of these downpours start moving in from the coast, and that definitely could bring some wet road conditions, and we do need the rain. We are seeing increasing drought conditions here across the Houston area, and any rain that we could get is very well much needed, especially as we head into this weekend. And so expecting a little bit more cloud cover, a little bit more unstable air as we head into the weekend. But the humidity, once again, increasing for Saturday. We're going to start seeing that surge of dry air start creeping in from the north, and that's going to be associated with that cold front that will be moving closer towards the Houston area as we head into the next few days. And so therefore, also warming conditions, especially for those low temperatures, especially if you're heading out the door in those morning hours. So expecting temps to warm up to about 72, 75 degrees. I think those conditions outside are going to be a bit muggy and summer-like, especially if you are heading out for those morning jogs and those evening runs, especially for this weekend. However, once that cold front does pass, we will see those morning temps return back down into the 60s for Monday and Tuesday, which is good news for us, but it's going to warm up before it gets better. Tropics are looking mostly quiet. We do have Tropical Storm Lorenzo that's currently out there with winds at 40 miles an hour. We still are in hurricane season. This storm is moving northeast at 14 miles an hour, pretty far away from any land masses. That's just going to remain well over open water, and the latest model guidance is showing that this is going to fizzle out as it moves off towards the northeast with winds at 40 miles an hour. It's not expecting to survive that much longer, but looking at the development odds for the end of October, this is for October 22nd through the 28th, we still have to keep an eye on the Caribbean because it's very well common that we could still see some storms spawn in the Caribbean, especially by the end of October. And this is from the NOAA forecast guidance. And so tropical development possible later this month, maybe in the next couple of weeks. And so models are hopping on some trends that could spawn off a few disturbances. And of course, it's too far early to tell whether or not this is going to happen or not, but we have to keep our eyes peeled, especially as we are still in hurricane season, which still lasts into the end of November. But looking at the temperature outlook, we're expecting it to remain above normal, at least by the end of October. So above normal temps expected for all of Texas. Usually around this time of year, our average high for Houston is 83 degrees, and we are expecting those temps to be pretty well above that as we head into the next 10 days. Upper 80s, low 90s, a little bit of a warm up for Saturday and Sunday, and it's not going to be until at least Sunday where we'll see the effects of that cold front. So as far as your 7-day forecast, high temps in the upper 80s, lows in the 60s for tomorrow, but we were also expecting the return of those isolated downpours as we head into this weekend. So we are expecting those conditions to remain mostly just pleasant for today. So I think we're going to see this last pleasant day before it starts getting muggy for next week. But if you're just now joining us on KHOU 11+, we are experiencing a very gorgeous day here across Houston. Of course, I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez with your extended forecast, and we are expecting those a rather pleasantly warm day for today with the humidity once again returning for Thursday and Friday. That's where we're going to start seeing those muggy conditions return. So scattered rain chances are also expecting to be in the picture ahead of this cold front that's going to be coming through at least by this weekend, but we are expecting those temps to remain rather clear and pleasant for today. dropping down into the low 70s with those dew points still rather dry. Usually when we see those dew points in the 60s and 70s, that's what usually brings the muggy conditions. And so the fact that those dew points are in the 50s inland really is just going to keep that pleasant weather and those pleasant feeling type conditions here across Houston, at least for today. However, consequently, there has to be a trade-off. We will see a high fire weather risk for all of southeast Texas. That is the level 3 out of 5. That's a high risk, especially according to the Texas A&M Forest Service. So limit outdoor burning, and if not, be extra cautious. Also keep an eye if your county is under that burn ban list, which does include areas north and south of Houston. And so as we look at the future dew points, we're going to eliminate that fire risk for tomorrow because we will start seeing that atmospheric moisture once again return with those dew points in the 70s for Friday morning. So expecting those muggy conditions to return for the weekend, unfortunately, and the return also with some possible showers ahead of this front that's going to be moving through this weekend. But what's been keeping us mostly quiet is this high pressure system that's been in place. That's really been keeping us very quiet, dry, and sunny for the past couple of days. But looking at the next few days, we will be tracking this low pressure system with an associated cold front that will be sweeping through Texas. Most of the rain with this system is going to be well to the east of the Houston area, but we could see a few of those isolated showers that could move through, especially as we head into as early as Friday morning. And so expecting rather not really stormy or widespread rainy conditions, but we are expecting a few downpours to move through starting on Friday, and that could be the case each and every day for the weekend, especially for Friday and into Saturday going into this weekend. Humidity will also start surging into really muggy conditions for this weekend, but we will start seeing the weather models start hinting that we could see some of that drier air in place as we head into this weekend, especially as far as the start of next week. So overnight morning temperatures, I know it's been fantastic out there. Unfortunately, we're going to temporarily lose it because we will see those temps dropping only into the 70s for Friday and Saturday. And then eventually as we go into Monday, Tuesday, that's where we're going to start seeing the return of those morning temperatures dropping into the 60s. And so expecting those conditions just to remain mostly pleasant, especially for the next few days. Lorenzo, like I said before, out in open water, not posing a threat to anyone, far away from those land masses, but we are expecting, we have to keep our eyes peeled on what's to come. We have late development possible in the Caribbean by October 22nd to the 28th. We are still in hurricane season. There has been some storms that have made their way into the Gulf in the months of October, and so usually for this time of year, most of those frontal boundaries keep those systems well away from us, but we still have to keep our eyes peeled because we will see that hurricane season last, unfortunately, until the end of November. So temps remaining above normal, usually upper 80s, low 90s for the next 10 days. And for your 7-day forecast, expect those temperatures to remain mostly just a little bit warmer in terms of the muggy conditions, with those overnight lows dropping into the 70s. But we will be paying attention to that rain chance that will be creeping back in by Friday and Saturday. It's not going to be anything widespread, but we could see a few downpours moving through our area, especially as we head into the weekend. And then by Sunday, Monday, return of dry weather. You'll see those temps dropping back down into the 60s with afternoon temps in the upper 80s, but we are unfortunately going to see some isolated downpours for the weekend with that cold front arriving at least by Friday or into Saturday.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for Halloween for sure, and maybe by December and January we'll get some of that. In the meantime, it's going to be a hot day, and we're looking ahead to what the trend is by the end of the month. Because in years past, like for example, last year was a pretty hot October and a pretty hot Halloween. Matter of fact, Halloween in 2024, high temperature of 90, low of 73. The normal is like 55 to 77. So that's showing you what's typical for Halloween. Now we're still about 15 days out from the big holiday, and the forecast trend right now, lower 80s in the afternoon and near 60 for overnight temperatures. So it looks like trick-or-treating should be pretty comfortable, because also the long-range models are suggesting like more active pattern into next week, more fronts move in, better rain chances, and slightly cooler air as well, at least compared to where we've been these past several days and last several weeks. All right, 82 out the door, winds are calm, humidity is not bad right now. Most locations around the region, from here to Houston, Austin, Corpus Christi, all picking up on moderate air quality. I do think there will be some areas this afternoon and maybe even tomorrow and Friday that see up to unhealthy, sensitive groups for air quality today and tomorrow. That's why we have a weather impact alert. The Weather Service has issued an air quality alert for Bexar County and surrounding counties, even out towards Houston and southeast Texas. Winds are calm, air is hot, and that is 2 factors you need to increase the ozone in the air quality reduced at the surface. So again, bad air quality today, so expect that for this afternoon and tomorrow. All right, 86 at Seguin, 88 at Gonzales, very similar numbers across the board. A little cooler at Bernie at 81. Weather impact alert for this afternoon because of the air quality alert. 88 on Thursday and 89 on Friday. A little hotter into Saturday as a front slowly approaches Sunday morning. More on that in a second. First, radar and satellite, mostly quiet and clear. The northern half of the country underneath a lot more cloud cover and some rain out there. Our pattern driven by this huge ridge, it just really doesn't do much. It stays pretty quiet for the next several days. Saturday night into Sunday morning, this low moves across the Midwest, and what that will do is send us a very weak cold front. I want to emphasize very weak because high temperature of about 92 on Saturday, probably at about 89 to 90 on Sunday. So not a huge temperature swing between day to day. But what it will do is reinforce very comfortable mornings and just warm afternoons into early next week until our next front, which is probably around the 23rd and 24th. We'll keep you posted on KENS5.com. All right, here's your 14-day weather impact alert for this afternoon. Poor air quality. Upper 80s Thursday and Friday, a little hotter on Saturday, and then a little cooler on Sunday and Monday. So a lot of up and down, back and forth, and hopefully we do get some colder weather by Halloween, Jeremy.
And here's a quick look outside. Does look a little hazy from our downtown weather camera. And we're looking at temperatures right now, taking a look at that 80-degree mark at both the airport as well as Camp Mabry. But temperatures right now across the metro, mostly in those lower 80s. We do have a couple of 70s straggling in places like Lakeway and Leander. Marble Falls, you are feeling lucky, checking in at 77 right now. That looks like your cool spot in the immediate Austin metro. We've also got 77 out in Gillespie County. Some 80s still in the hill country as well. Johnson City and Blanco checking in at 80 with 84. Bobcat homies in San Marcos checking in at our warm spot. Allergy count, ragweed and mold, both in the high. Fall elm is low, pine not on the board. You can find that each and every day on KVUE.com and the KVUE app. There's that area of high pressure that we've talked about. It does break down as we head through Saturday. That's that's actually the first of around 3 cold fronts that we will be seeing during this upcoming week, the third of which could be the strong one. And there's an area of low pressure well off to the north. It'll shift off to the east. Another area of high pressure builds as we head into Friday as well. And that could be a slightly cooler one as we head into the middle of next week. Now, over the next few days, highs are going to be wishy-washy a little bit, upper 80s tomorrow and Friday, but Saturday, 93, and that could be pretty significant for F1 if it's recorded at the airport. I'll talk about that in a moment. But Friday's forecast, 89 degrees, and that could mean some tire degradation issues. We only have 1 practice session this weekend, and that is because of the sprint weekend. Sprint qualifying is at 4:30, and tire deg could be the highest during that period. Lower 90s on Saturday, and oh, by the way, that would tie for the hottest F1 weekend day ever at COTA. It would tie 2021, the 22nd, and the 23rd as well. So something that we're going to watch. In a quick note, we use the airport temperatures for record keeping at COTA due to its proximity to said airport. There it is, lower 90s on your Saturday. Weak cold front comes through as we head through Sunday. The second of 3 cold fronts makes its way through Monday and Tuesday, but we are not indicating it because we are looking at lower 90s both days. It wouldn't be till the end of next week where we have that third, more potent one.
Throughout the rest of your afternoon, this is what you can expect. Look at those low 80s by about lunchtime here in the next couple of minutes, or if you're already on lunch, you're seeing the sunny skies. You're seeing those 80s peek into our forecast. As we head into tonight, quiet night of weather ahead, as it has been. It's literally been a copy and paste forecast. We're not copying the numbers. The forecast is just copying itself as high pressure remains well over our area. Winds out of the southeast as we get into overnight hours. Nonetheless, we'll still wake up with those mid to low 60s in the forecast into tomorrow morning. You see those winds, they're changing a little bit out of the southeast, out of the northeast at times. This is into tomorrow. Rain chances I do think are likely as we get into Friday. Mostly sunny skies remain. That's the biggest story, but look at rain. We may see a brief shower or two, some of which could also produce a weekend isolated thunderstorm as we get into your Friday afternoon. Not anticipating much of any disruptions for any Friday night lights, but of course, we'll keep a close eye on that in the days to come. Dew point values are slightly down. We have those humidity values. This is what we use to measure humidity, how much moisture is in the atmosphere. Lower in the 50s. That means dry air is here. It means we won't have those feels-like temperatures as warm as what they could be because of that drop in those dew point values. And we'll only continue to see drops as that front is on the way. Now, high pressure is parked over us. We have this area of low pressure. That's where the origin of where our cold front is coming from. Now, as you see, it tracks well off to our north, so we're not going to feel as cold as what our friends well up north, the northern states will feel once that front passes. We're kind of getting just the back end of that, so that's why we'll only see about a 4 to 5 temperature drop as it tracks across. You can see in the Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, that's when we see warm conditions. Area of high pressure tries to build back in from the south. And so until then, we're still not seeing any measurable rain in our forecast. Here's a look at that front once again. Like I mentioned, it's going to usher in drier air. Moisture is going to arrive ahead of that dry air. So that's why we have that 10 to 20% chance of showers in the forecast Friday, Saturday, Sunday as you're heading off to a church, things like that. I do think rain will be, any rain, minimal rain that we see will be out of the forecast by then. And even Tuesday, you'll still see dry air filtering throughout the region, so we'll still be left with some gorgeous weather in the forecast here locally, not even just in central Texas, but across the entire state. Speaking of the entire state, rainfall tracker, it is not looking impressive for anyone. We're taking a look a little bit closer. Some areas not even expected to receive any measurable rain. Other areas are going to top out to a whopping 1/10 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. More of the story is we're not anticipating a lot of rain in the next coming days. Conditions will remain fairly dry. Hence, our drought monitor has remained fairly dry, and that's the reason why we're continuing to see drought conditions worsen here for us, because we have not seen any substantial rain. And so until we do see some substantial rain, great amounts of measurable rain, drought conditions are not going to look pretty for us here in Central Texas. We do have some areas that aren't seeing any drought conditions nonetheless. Like I mentioned, without any substantial rain, we could see these conditions worsen with that next update that does come out for us every Thursday. So tomorrow will be the new update for us seeing drought conditions across the state. Afternoon highs today, rewinding things back. Front is not here just yet. When the cold front does come, it'll try to bump these temperatures down about 5 degrees. So it's likely as we're starting the new week off, many of us will see about 85, 86 into our afternoon hours. Nonetheless, it'll still be quite warm, still be lots of sunshine, but somewhat of some change is trying to make its way here. Look at this gorgeous sunrise behind me. It's a gorgeous day, a gorgeous sun, a gorgeous time to get out and enjoy the day if you can. Not getting into Color the Weather, but there's our Color the Weather photo that we normally show during our Texas Today show. So, of course, if you, your child, anyone you know who wants to submit a photo, you can send that in to us at colortheweather@KCENTV.com. Low and rain chances pop up Friday, Saturday. Only 10 to 20% chances there. We have that low end chance for about a 90 degrees on Saturday afternoon. So it's going to be running rather warm, rather hot. But look into Sunday morning. That front will have passed. It'll leave us with those low 60s, if not upper 50s by Monday. We break into about the mid 80s for those afternoon high temperatures. So weather pattern, it's not looking too impressive for any change to happen, but we are watching some long range models trying to spit out a stronger cold front in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's what we'll keep a close eye on.
Halloween is 16 days away. Can you believe it? We're already almost halfway through October, and we've already recorded 12 days at or above 90 degrees this year. We're on track to possibly tie or break the record set back in 2024 when we had 20 days at or above 90 degrees. So in our current 7-day forecast, we have 89 in the forecast for tomorrow. So it's a close call. We could easily be adding 6 to 7 more days, and the extended outlook that we're going to take a look at continues to have some high heat in the forecast. So horrifying heat, your Halloween climatology. Do you remember last year? We made it up to 91 degrees last year. So let me go back. Hold on. I'm getting too excited. So as we go outside with Frankenstein's monster, he reminds us that we've only had 7 of the last 138 years, specifically on Halloween, hitting a high at or above 90 degrees. And those years are listed here. 2024 was one of those. It was 91 degrees last year. Do you remember that? Whew, that's a hot Halloween, let me tell you what. But we do have the next 6 to 10 days above normal temperatures are likely. So if we get 10 more days in the 90s, we'll have 22 days at or above 90 this year, and we'll easily break the record. So it'll be a close call, but what I want to point out is we're still expecting above normal heat even as we head into the end of October. There's not a huge cool down on the way for South Texas, not anytime soon. It does, our chance of above normal heat does lower a bit. We're 50% instead of nearly 90%, 80, 90%, but regardless, be ready for heat, especially today. On this Wednesday, it is 90 degrees with lots of sunshine. We're going to see blue skies because we've got high pressure dominating. Our airflow is down and out with high pressure. That creates sinking air, which limits rain. You need rising air to form clouds and rainfall, and we just don't really have that in the forecast. Now, I will say there is some energy which leads to some rising air as we head into tonight and tomorrow morning. That's one ingredient for rainfall. Another ingredient we need is moisture, and where there's going to be more moisture is this area I've circled here. So it looks like rainfall will be more likely from Houston to Louisiana and then into the southeast than it will be for us. So unfortunately, I don't have great news. Yes, you saw a cold front, but it's going to have minimal impacts here in South Texas. The next 7 days, we're not tracking much in the way of rainfall for us. You do see more rain, as I mentioned, up into the Midwest, the Mississippi River Valley, the Ohio River Valley, those locations getting that moisture being fed up ahead of that storm system, and they're going to get more rain. Meanwhile, that moisture stream setting up more so over East Texas, leading to at least a little bit of rain that way. You'll see it here. So there's not much moisture when that energy moves into South Texas. Then the energy sets up and the rainfall and the moisture is in more so East Texas. So tomorrow we do have a chance of rain, but it's more so anywhere between Corpus Christi and Houston, and that's a very isolated chance at best. So you'll see Thursday, maybe Friday, a 10% chance of rain. I do think we have more cloud coverage. Again, that's the opposite of yesterday. So yesterday we had more clouds between Corpus Christi and Brownsville. Tomorrow we're going to have more clouds between Corpus Christi and Houston.